Hello everyone and Eid Mubarak. Eid al-Adha is a beautiful time for reflection and giving, and like many important cultural or religious festivals and celebrations worldwide, it's a period often filled with immense joy and significant traditions. But let's be real, because with celebration can sometimes come a bit of pressure, especially when it comes to money. So in this video, we're going to dig into 5 common money traps that people often fall into during any significant occasion where there's a strong impulse to spend. So we'll use Eid as our timely example to show you how to sidestep them, leveraging clever insights from behavioral science, psychology, and of course from personal finance hacks. So, just to be very, very clear, by the way, and upfront, this isn't about telling anyone whether to spend or how much to spend on a special day, because that wouldn't be right. Instead, it's about sharing the best and the latest thinking from an academic and a financial perspective on how to spend with more purpose and less pressure. So, let's get straight into it. The first thing we should highlight is we have to be careful about when sacrifice can become overcompensation. So, you know that feeling when a special occasion just has to mean going all out? So, maybe you've been really disciplined, and after all of that, there comes a big event, and then you just feel like, you know what, you can let loose now. Well, there's a reason for that, and it's called moral licensing. It's this sneaky bias where doing something good, like saving money or being disciplined in one area, makes us feel like we've earned permission to, well, be a bit more impulsive or excessive in a different area. So, the economist Dan Ariely covers it in his book, which is Predictably Irrational. And he talks about this unconscious sense of permission that we build up. And that actually can lead us off track from what our longer term goals are. So, for example, it could mean that you feel like just splurging significantly more on decoration, food, or outfits for a celebration. Not really because you absolutely need all of those things, but maybe to balance out some restraint that you've had elsewhere. So, a quick tip here, purely based from academia, try setting up a values based budget. So, before you spend, think about what truly matters for this occasion. And it could be, let's say, quality time with family, or a genuine sense of peace of mind, or creating actual meaningful memories. So, whatever it is, look, it's not just every pound that you're spending on things, but it's to make sure that it's bringing you meaningful benefits. Let's move on. So, the second thing is the comparison economy. So, in behavioral economics, we call it social proof. And sometimes we don't really know what the benchmark, what the baseline might be. So, what we end up doing is tracking other people's baseline. So, sometimes somebody might give a certain amount for ED, and we are then sort of psychologically anchored to that. And then we might feel like we should give or receive the same amount of ED as well. So all of this ties into this aspect called conspicuous consumption, and it's a concept by one of the economists, and it's basically talking about spending money, which often, you might spend it on luxury goods or services, simply to publicly display your economic power or social status, rather than really questioning whether the intrinsic value is there for what you'd want it for. So, a quick tip, ask yourself this simple, powerful question. If no one else saw this, or if anyone else wasn't in the equation, would I still go with this amount, or would I still spend it on this thing? So that's that. Point number 3. So there's something called the guilt gifting loop. So, you might have felt like sometimes you've not quite measured up in certain areas, and maybe you may not have spent enough money on family, or enough time on your family, or not being as productive as you would have wanted to, and then we try to make up for those feelings by spending money. So in all of this, there's consumer psychology, which labels all of this as compensatory consumption. So we're buying things or spending money as a way to try and smooth over some inner discomfort, or it could be some emotional gaps or any perceived shortcomings. So in the book, The Paradox of Choice, uh, it talks about how spending more money doesn't automatically equate to more happiness. So it needs to come from a place of internal uh, internal genuine desire rather than some outward pressure. So instead of having any guilt-based gifting, try really thinking about what a thoughtful gift might be. So whether it's something like time with family where you're truly present, or dinner with somebody, or whatever the quality time idea looks like, just focus on that. And then moving on to number four, emotional spending as a substitution. Now, what do I mean by this? So, for many people, special occasions can be a whole whirlwind of emotions. So it could be, a bit of loneliness, or it could be a bit of deep seasonal reflection, could be anything. And in those things, at that time, people can tend towards retail therapy. And when that happens, we end up sort of impulse spending rather than spending on what we want. And there's a book, Your Money and Your Brain, and that highlights how we often misjudge just how happy or satisfied a purchase will make us. So we have a tendency, we significantly underestimate the future financial stress or regret it might cause down the line. So the tip here would be build some low cost, meaningful things that you do, like rituals, to truly mark the moment. So it could be journaling your thoughts, or it could be going for a walk without any tech devices, or maybe just giving a call to somebody who you haven't spoken to in a long time to avoid that financial hangover of retail therapy. And lastly, number five, and this is ignoring the true cost of just this once. Now, what do I mean by this? In economics, there's a huge concept around opportunity cost. And this is the price of doing something in terms of what we've missed out on. So whilst it's such a big thing, we forget it when we're in celebration mode, for example. So we'll tell ourselves, you know what, it's just this once. And when we look at our spending in isolation, we don't sometimes end up thinking about how that £1 or £10 or £100 that we spent at that time could go towards something else, some other goals in the imminent or the distant future. So there are behavioral economists like Richard Thaler, and they describe all of this as opportunity cost neglect. And it particularly happens during like emotional or seasonal spending spikes, where our focus is not much longer term, but rather it's that immediate gratification. So here we could use a super simple question to frame our spending decisions. What else could this money do for me tomorrow, a week from now, or a month from now, or a year from now? And that kind of brings it back into perspective. So that allows you to spend from a place of clarity and thoughtful consideration rather than from a place of urgency or impulse. And that is how it leads to that longer term, robust financial stability. So, look, celebrations, whether it's Eid or anything, they can be both incredibly joyful and financially smart. So, let's spend with purpose and take a moment to just reflect on what truly matters to you, and like to you today and to your longer term goals. And remember, aligning your spending with your deepest values beats excess every single time. Wishing you all a calm and a meaningful and a financially clear celebration.